honorable death than to go back to the village and the people you've let down and live in shame. Right? Or you see in medieval Europe, you might have seen this in shows or something, that they'll duel with each other and say, "You have dishonored my maiden, and you have ruined my name. We must fight to the death. One of us must die. I have to defend my honor," because they would rather be dead than to have their names smeared. One of the funner things in ancient Hebrew culture was the beard. And for a lot of the year I grew a beard up, but I have a wedding to do soon, so I'll just keep shaving. Right? But in Hebrew culture, the beard was a sign of a man's honor. And it was so important that if you wanted to humiliate an ancient Hebrew, like you caught them in battle but you don't want to kill them or incarcerate them, to humiliate them, you would cut their beard off and send them home. And in the Bible, there are places, these are cities where you can regrow your beard before you re-enter into society. Okay? So that's how much they valued honor in these cultures. Okay? So next time if you see Tatay Boy and you want to dishonor him, just yank his beard or do something like that. Right? But they cared so much that they would grow it back before they came back to their hometown. In these societies, honor was so big, and the way to get honor, receive honor, is to have an honor group, like a church. And the honor group lives by the same morals, values, and character traits that we all ascribe to be like Jesus. And we give honor to those who do well in that. And that is why, and I know in Filipino culture as well, we honor our elders. We want to honor our elders because they've been there already. They've gone through it already. They've gone through the hardships and the trials, and they're here today still loving the Lord and serving the Lord. And so we give honor to them. Or we give honor to people that do well and that struggle to do what is right and to live for Jesus, even in hard circumstances. And so this is what Solomon is saying here. He's saying, don't let faithfulness and loyalty, and this is to God, don't let that leave you. Others will look at you and say, that's an honorable person because he lives for the Lord, because she serves the Lord. No complaining, no griping about circumstances, and just keeps going despite the difficult circumstances. It's an honorable way to be and to live. As we get to verse 5, we're getting into somewhere where a lot of people would say, this is my favorite verse or my life verse. I met my to-be wife in high school, and I was going through struggles. I didn't give my life to Christ really during this time, and I was going through struggles, and my wife-to-be, she gave me a verse, a little piece of paper, and just gave it to me and said, read that. And I said, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. I was like, what is this? And she's like, this is my life verse. This is what I go through. She was talking to me about Proverbs 3, 5 to 6. This is her favorite passage. So we're going to look at that now. And some of you may know it well. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. In the CEB, don't rely on your own intelligence or on your own understanding. Know him in all your paths, and he will keep your ways straight. And we'll do the beginning of verse 7. Don't consider yourself wise. Now, we're going to look at this in two parts. The first is interesting. If you look at the second half of verse 5, it says, don't rely on your own intelligence. Okay, don't rely on your own intelligence. Now, initially, this might be a little bit offensive to some people because they read this and like, but I'm a pretty smart fellow, right? I went to school and I know things and I must be pretty smart because I read books and all that stuff. And this is weird. It's saying like, don't rely on the things that you know, right? And I know, especially for me, I remember especially when I was young, a teenager. When you're young, you know everything. So I knew everything. When I was young, and I was just like, I'm a smart guy, I'm really intelligent, and so when I read something like this, I'd be like, that's just strange. But something happened to me, and I can't remember how I came across this, but someone was sort of like, John, assess what you actually know. Think about all that you know. Okay, and I did sort of this activity like this, right? Now imagine this room. Pretend this room is empty. Okay, this room is absolutely empty. And this room, in it, the air, this room is all possible things that you can know. All the facts of everything. Right? And then I'll ask, well, if you could show how much you know of everything there is to know, how much would that be? Right? Maybe the size of a tennis ball. I don't know. In comparison to the entire room, how much do you actually know? Right? And I was thinking about it, right? One of the things that intrigues me is space. I'm like, we don't even know how far space goes. It might be infinite. It might never end. We don't know. We don't know what planets are out there. We don't know what's out there. We don't know what these planets are made out of. We don't know so much. We don't even know if there's only one universe. There might be a multiverse. There might be negative energy that comes from another dimension that causes gravity in these things in space that scientists can't get their heads around. See? I don't even know what I'm talking about. Right? There's so much out there, even just about the universe. How do things work? I don't know how they work. Scientists don't know how they work. Even about biology. When I read about stuff like DNA, the information, there's information in our bodies. This information, if you wrote it on a piece of paper, in stacks of paper, it'll go up to the moon and back. That's how much information is going on in our cells. I can't even imagine that. Right? I've been reading a book about dogs, because I'm thinking of getting a dog maybe, right? And it's about the dog's senses. And you just look at a dog and it's like, that's a simple creature, and we don't know why it does, and things like that. But I learned at least one thing, that when a dog licks things, right? It licks disgusting things like urine and garbage and all that stuff, right? And we sort of think like that, there's no way that tastes good. Why are you licking that? Right? But what I learned was the dog is actually taking pieces, like samples of whatever it is, especially urine, from another dog, and puts it into his mouth because the vomeral gland is in the top of their mouth. And they get that information to the vomeral gland, and the vomeral gland tells them about the other dog. I was like, I didn't know this, right? I don't know much about anything. I don't know about the invisible world. Right now there's radio waves and microwaves and Wi-Fi and all sorts of stuff we can't see. Our senses can only perceive so much. There's so much we don't know. I don't know other languages. I don't know other cultures. I don't know the history of the world. I don't know what happened before. So many things. And I think about this whole entire room. If this was the room and this is all the knowledge there ever could be, and I was like, John, how much do you know? It would be so tiny. Be next to nothing. I know next to nothing about all there is to know. And so when Solomon is here, it's like, don't rely on your own intelligence. I'm like, yeah, that's a smart thing to do. Because I barely know anything. There's only a few things that I know. And so Solomon is saying, hey, don't have an exaggerated view of how smart you are. And then look at the second part of verse 7, or the first part of verse 7, don't consider yourself wise. Which sounds strange because we're reading the book of wisdom, right? There's a book of wisdom where it says, try to be wise, chase after wisdom. And it says, but don't consider yourself to be wise. There's a guy named Plato. He was a Greek philosopher. And a lot of our thinking, well, in a lot of Western thinking, even in a lot of Christianity, has been influenced by this man Plato. He was a Greek philosopher. And this is what he says. He said, I'm the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Okay? Plato is saying the only way that I can gain any wisdom is to be able to admit and to be humble enough to say that I know nothing. This is Plato talking, and if Plato, one of the smartest guys that ever lived in the history of mankind, can say this, and who are we to say, like, I probably know more than Plato. And this is exactly what Solomon is saying. Solomon is saying, don't trust in your own intelligence, and don't consider yourself wise. If you do that, then you're not going to be able to do the thing that he says at the beginning. Trust in the Lord, not yourself. Because if you trust in yourself, you're not going to trust in the Lord. You're going to say, well, I can do this myself. Right? I got a fairly big head. There must be some good brain in there. I know a few things. Solomon is saying to be wise. Don't trust in yourself, but trust the Lord. Don't stifle yourself or block yourself from learning from God and knowing from God by believing that we're so smart and so wise. Trust the Lord with all your heart. Know him in all your paths, and he will make your ways straight. Basically saying, Lord, I got decisions to make. I need to live my life and go and do and be. God, how do I do that? You guide me. Because in the room full of knowledge that can be known, because God created everything, he knows everything. So we need to follow him and say, God, I trust you, not me. Let me follow you instead of myself. Now all of this leads us to one big event. This leads us to one bigger personality than Solomon or Lady Wisdom. We're going to jump to, oh, that's tiny. Okay, I got to check my PowerPoints. So let me go to it.